to this Galleria. The Galleria. Remember the Galleria? I guess you don't, because you guys weren't from La, L.A.
La. La.
From Law.
Where'd you grow up, Angela?
I'm from Law.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're from La-
I'm
That's
one of
right.
those unicorns. I'm born and raised Los Angeles. Yeah.
I always think everybody lives in my town, but I get people from around the universe checking in with this. So, greetings, world. We are here to take you away from the anxiety.
From what?
Yeah, what's going on? Anything
Something going on today?
Oh man. Yeah, it's kind of a cray day where I'm afraid to turn the TV on, but that's okay. We are here to not talk about that. We want to talk about music because thank God we have music, because music, wow, is so healing. And before I get into talking about the next event that Guitar Cloud Symposium is doing called the Deep Dive, which we're all excited about. We're all working madly getting our next thing together. I want to talk about what Angela's been up to because
Oh, boy.
it's pretty exciting.
It was very, very. Did you want to fill them in on what I did?
Sunset Sound, man. You're part of the history now. That's all I'm going to say. You have to fill them in with detail.
It was incredible. It was a huge, huge honor to have been asked by the folks at Sunset Sound. They're doing this thing. It's called In the Vault, and they invite bands to come in and recreate a song that was recorded in that particular studio. So like, the Doors recorded in Studio One, and, Led Zeppelin and Audioslave recorded in Studio 2, Prince recorded in Studio 3. So, I mean, amongst many other people, like just go and look up, like everybody has recorded here. So was incredibly honored to have been asked, and got my band together, Angela Petrilli and the Players, and we rocked out some Audioslave. Chris Cornell is one of my favorite artists of all time, and was honored and completely scared and just so like, oh my gosh, I need to do him justice because I am just such a massive fan. And just to do him justice, and just had the best time, and then played some Zeppelin at the end too, because I mean it wouldn't be me if I didn't play a little Zeppelin somewhere. So it was a blast. So honored to have been a part of it. But yeah,
I thought you did a slamming job, girl. And now you were just a little nervous.
It was fun. It was fun though. But yeah, it was, because it's new territory. I've been singing backup for years, but singing leads is something totally new. And I'm like, you know what? This feels like the right time to do it. And it was fun. It was fun. Yeah.
Good for
it was
you.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. It seems like just the right move right now. I'm a big fan of listening to my gut, and it felt like the right time. So
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, you nailed it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and it's always daunting. There's so many situations that we can run into that are daunting, no matter how many thousands of hours you put in on stage. When you have a new situation, new vibe, new mojo that you don't even understand sometimes.
Yeah.
As I was thinking about that, I thought back to, I had a long story, but I had an opportunity to play with Jeff Beck when I was not in the band. It was one of the bands afterwards with Vinnie Colaiuta and Pino Palladino.
Oh, wow.
Monsters. I mean, part of the nerves came from
Man, I mean, like Vinny, like wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool in a lot of ways. I mean, of course, Jeff picks the most difficult song that he's ever done, right? Let's do that one with Jennifer. And it was really interesting because it went from, I think, 9/8 to 13/8. It was just one of those bizarro tunes. And Vinny is so good, man. I mean, he put a swing into it that had never been there before. And right before we went on, he goes, "Now, how's that go again?" I would have been going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but he's so sensitive that he hears it. And if there's a goof, he'll move with you immediately, where some other drummers would fall down the stairs. But I digress. We are here to talk about the deep dives that Guitar Cloud Symposium is doing. And I'm really excited about it. If you're not familiar with the normal thing we've been doing, the Guitar Cloud Symposium, which is happening again December 11 to, let's see, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, I climbed to 4 and then I start over. Vicki, is one of those nights. I promise I won't embarrass you too much. But Positive Grid is supporting us through the winter. It is so cool. If you joined us early, there was a little ad I put up. They're giving away some really cool stuff. Not just the Spark amp, but some bias stuff, and man, just a Mondo package. So you want to head over to Positive Grid and sign up for it, because you could be a happy winner for Christmas season anyway. But actually, Angela, you're the one that decided the theme of what we're going to do November 14th. It's the first time we're doing a deep dive where each of us gets at least an hour to talk about one of our favorite subjects. And then we'll have plenty of Q&A time before the next instructor starts. And you see 3 of us here, but Gretchen Menn is busy with some other stuff, and she will be joining us on the 14th. So tell them about the theme, Angela.
I know when we were brainstorming this, like, gosh, because I think this, Jennifer, this idea of a deep dive, I think is just so freaking cool. Because it gives us the time to really talk about something in a very comprehensive sort of way, about things that we are passionate about. And I remember we were all chatting, and, Gretchen had mentioned, oh my God, what about an album? Like, how to make an indie album.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited. I know all of you are talking about the, building of it musically, which is obviously very, very important, because we're listening to an album. This is important stuff. With my module for this deep dive on November 14th, what I'll be doing is talking about crowdfunding, budgeting, and promoting this album. So once it's all done, or almost and close to done, and I'll be talking about timing of it too. Talking, a bit about that aspect, different types of crowdfunding sites. You have Indiegogo, you have Kickstarter, you have Patreon. So talking about the difference of those and what, best suits you and your project and that sort of thing, and budgeting. Because listen, albums can be as cheap or as expensive as you want. And one of my favorite mottos, fast, eat good, cheap, pick 2.
Right.
Pick 2. So it's, again, it's important and talking about, okay, this is the vision for my album. This is how much money I have to work with. Okay, let's go to work and let's get the most bang out of our buck here, and really allowing the album, because, we're all going to be talking about how hard we work on this album, that we create. So, uplifting through, budgeting, promoting, and crowdfunding in a proper way to make sure you get, the best notice of your album as you possibly can as an indie artist. So really looking forward to teaching that.
That reminds me, when I was almost done with my first record, and I signed up with BMI, and I had a meeting down in Hollywood with one of the reps, and this woman said, now that you're essentially done with your record, now is the hard part. And I thought, what are you saying?
Oh, yeah.
That was really hard, what I just went through for 3 years to cough up a record like a bad hairball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that...
At least it's in our wheelhouse. You know what I mean? It's like making music. At least it's this familiar thing. And I've seen, and I've myself included, you put so much into it, and then you're standing there with a thing and you have no idea what the hell to do with it.
Right.
So it's so brilliant, that you're doing that module, Angela, and that you're just going to give that information out.
And because
really
I'll tell you what, with the 3 that I did with my previous band, Roses and Cigarettes, man, did I learn a lot through failure. So we're going to talk about that, because you learn failure is the greatest teacher. So I'm going to talk to you guys about things that, man, I wish I knew this the first time we did this album. It's, again, just, I'm super, super stoked, because, again, it's a really important, part of creating an album is, okay, what the hell to do with this thing? So.
Yeah, it's really important for people. And I will say that all of us have created many albums. Vicki is the winner with, is it 6 or 7? Something like that. And And Vicky's going to be doing a deep dive into her record Uncovered that's full of duets. Tell them a little bit about that.
So this is it's called Uncovered. One of the mistakes I made on this, Angela, was that my calligrapher was not really clear with his lettering. So everyone thinks this album is called Unlovered.
I know. See, but these are lovely mistakes that we can talk about. Like, folks, get good text. That's clear to read.
It's like, I love the feel of it, but got to make the letters make sense there. So,
but it does. It's so whimsical and totally worked with the cover.
But
that's so funny.
This is also a fun project in the scope of what we're doing here in terms of indie records, because this was a hybrid. I actually worked with a very small record label in Germany, Acoustic Music Records. So we worked together, and I had done a live album with them, and it's a great company. And Peter Finger's the owner, and he was like the guitar god in Germany, and the label was a massive collection of guitars from all over the world. What a beautiful label. So I had done a live CD with him. They don't normally do records. They didn't at this time with singers. It was mostly an instrumental album. And I had fallen in love with many of the artists that I met. I've been traveling to Germany since 2001, every year, almost twice a year. And so I've really grown a family of friends and colleagues. And it's so frustrating that I could never bring them to America, because you can't bring foreign musicians here unless you're independently wealthy. They're to pay for visas, and it's just not doable. So like all these years, I had these hidden friends and these hidden colleagues that were like, did they really even exist? And I thought, what if I could share them through making an album together? What if I could bring them to the States, into my world here? So I thought, I kind of came up with a concept that I thought Acoustic Music Records would love and go for, because I did need that funding to help me. They were kind of my initial crowdsourcing. They helped me pay for the artists. Tay, my wife and engineer, did the engineering. We paid for a lot of stuff on our own. So it was really a hybrid. But the beautiful thing about this record was getting to work with these 5 artists that I was really just in love with. And it was just a magical, hard, crazy logistical project, between Germany and the US, and Tay mixing things on the airplane. And, but we're going to dive into what it means to collaborate, and the incredible exercise that was in, when you open an album up to collaborators, and you're like, you want them to play and give you their ideas, but then what if you have ideas, and what do you do with your ideas, and how do you listen enough, and how do you give enough and take enough, and when do you draw the line and say, well, wait, but this is what my concept is, So it was this amazing dance, and with each artist it was different. And I picked 5 artists. We each did 2. They did 2 songs with me together, and so we're going to just dive into some of that, and hopefully I'll get you to hear some of the results of what we did. But it's obviously still an exciting project for me, even though it was a while ago. I think it'll be fun to share some of that stuff.
People that have not made a record don't realize how many millions of decisions go into it.
God.
I mean, it's actually a relief when you have other people in the mix. Well, depending on their opinions and decisions, but
and personalities.
Yeah. But if it's all on you, then who wants to be responsible for that?
Yeah. No, and one of the things that I wanted to do with this album was I wanted each artist and myself to come up with versions of cover tunes that were completely our own. So a lot of the work was done in the studio in that moment. Let's work it out. What are we doing? What do we want to do? What's you? What's me? How can we complement each other? And so we just came up with these little things that were so spontaneous and so much a matter of, wow, I never would have done that song that way if it wasn't for Kirsten, or I never would have thought about doing that without Christina, and it was like, I felt, to me, it's like, what an enrichment, to get because they're all great people and great musicians. So it was neat in that sense, having all that other stuff input.
My first record was pretty much alone with the producer who was Michael Sembello, who wrote the song Maniac, Maniac. And the best thing about that was I learned the auto punch. So, once I got that, I shoot him out of the studio. You don't even need to be here. But my next record was a true collaboration. I wrote these rough sketches and brought them into Glenn Sobel, he's been playing drums for Alice Cooper for quite a while now, but this was 100 years ago, and we rehearsed in his mother's shoe closet.
Oh my God.
Which, was big enough for a drum kit, a bass amp, and a guitar amp. Whole lot of shoes in there. She was a ballerina.
Wow.
But it was just, if I had done that record on my own with drum programming, it would be this much of what it turned out to be. And I will say I was very open and left all creativity out there. I didn't guide it that much. So sometimes in hindsight I go, boy, that song is really long. I should have reined it in here and there. But overall, I'm really happy with their take on it. I mean, some of the bass sounds are so growly and beautiful. I never could have programmed that. The human feel.
Yeah.
That you get from a great drummer. In fact, I asked Terry Bozzio. I was looking for a drummer, and I said, "Who do you recommend?" He said, "Glenn." I go, "Done." If you recommend him, he's got to be the cat. I'm going to step in here. Perry Dillard is watching us, who is just, I think,
All right.
Perry's just finished a record or in the process of doing a record. And yeah, Perry, so you need to join us. And Alyssa wants to open the champagne already.
Let's do it.
Yeah, Alyssa, I don't know if I'm going to be doing that in the November one. That's just a one-day thing. We start at 9 a.m. Pacific, and Vicky's going to start, I think, because you live on the East Coast and it's not 9 anymore.
It's easy. It's lunchtime for me.
Yeah, so your gray matter is going to be fired up already, where we're going to be sucking our thumbs. That's how my mornings start. Oh, what do I do now? Waiting for the mainline, coffee. Mainlining Starbucks. There are so many lyrics that are coming tonight from Unlovered. That sounds like a bad Phil Collins song. She's unlovered.
I guess I should write the song, for God's sake. Since I already have the calligraphy for it.
Yeah. Perry Dillard, I'm a little behind. He was talking about Chris Cornell. Yeah, what a great voice. One of the top 10, maybe top 5 greatest rock voices up there.
Hands down, one of the best. Such a loss that is still so profoundly felt.
Yeah. I was on Pete Thorne's podcast a couple of weeks ago after Eddie passed, and he was in Chris's band.
Yeah.
So he was obviously devastated, still devastated by the loss. Dana Hoyle, I can count on you to let us know we're live.
Dana, thanks for watching.
There was, I forgot the name, but there was somebody here from the UK. What are you doing up? We're not going to know who the president is or the direction of the free world for another day or two.
It wasn't Sally Barker, was it?
No, it's James. Sorry, the gray matter's a little crusty.
Okay.
James Marsh, that's who you are, if you're still there.
Hey, James.
So I'm going to be digging into melody. Years ago, when I was at the old guitar school in Hollywood, which is now known as MI, one of my teachers said, all you students, you need to be listening to Frank Sinatra. And I thought, no. At that time I was into George Benson and Pat Metheny and Jeff Beck, and Frank Sinatra just did not hit me as remotely hip. And I never did really listen to him, but what I took from that was what singers can bring to a melody. And boy, when you really dig into some of the greatest singers like Aretha, I'm going to be digging into I want to say rolling and tumbling. That is not the song I'm going to play, and it's not respect, and it's it'll come to me. Anyway, I'm going to dig into an Aretha take on a great song. And when I first heard it, I got goosebumps, and that is the sign that something's going right. And so I wanted a part of that. So I probably waited a year before I dared to touch it, because Aretha's like the top. And the things that she does with her voice, the feel, the time of growing up in the church, you know, to try and grab any of that is a real challenge, and to do it justice. So I'm still working on it. I've been playing it for a year or so. And often when you learn a song, you play it out and you play it and you play it, and it morphs and changes a little bit over time. And then you listen to the original and go, oh, I need to go back to school, you know? So I'm glad that I have an hour, because I want to take a lot of examples of a few covers, but a lot of my own material too. And I've been doing this in clinics where I take one of my melodies as if it's just a bunch of notes on paper that I never heard before, and I'm just playing it for the first time. And I play it, and then I play it as if I would play it if I really was digging in with emotion and aggression, and just to show people night and day how you can bring a melody alive from just fly shit on a piece of paper to actually connecting with people. And I'm starting to make a list that will be a PDF that I give to people, but I'm going to do all these demos and explain exactly what I'm doing and why I made those choices, because there are a million choices that you make on guitar every second. You know, I think guitar players that have been playing for years and years and years, you don't even realize the decisions you're making that are just second nature until you start teaching. And then you hear a student play that and you're going, oh, no. Let's back up. Let's get inside of what you're doing and maybe make some different choices and just experiment with what really is going to make this a great thing. And, you know, when I see cover bands, I can get excited by seeing a great cover band, but if they haven't done their homework, I don't want to know about it. You know, it's like there's different levels. There's a crap cover band, which we all were at one point, you know.
100%.
Yeah. You're just happy to be on stage and happy that people aren't running out screaming, you know, just trying to get your feet on stage. And then there's the level where you can really nail it, where you really embrace the sounds that were done, and all of the little decisions that were done in the studio for a reason. Mm-hmm. And it's one thing to copy it exactly, which can be cool if it's a really cool song, like the Beat It solo. I try to copy that exactly because I think that is perfection. And anything I could improvise is not going to be any better. But then there's another level that you can take beyond and make it your own, like you did, Vicki, with those arrangements. And that is a real challenge. Yeah, the song was written, but what can you do with it?
Yeah.
So, boy, I've been motor mouthing. Sometimes I think I'm just going to pass out from not breathing. You know what? I just saw this. I'm looking at questions on my phone, and a buddy of mine, Bray Hodges, is watching, and apparently Facebook has done this thing where, like Instagram, where you can bring people on live with you.
Oh.
Sorry, Bray. I'm not going to do that. I can only do one new thing per live. And this time, I'm using OBS to stream into Zoom, which is an effort that's taken a little over 3 months. So just the fact that nobody died
is a win. We did okay. You did great. Yeah. You did great.
I'm afraid if I bring somebody on, it's just the earth is going to end.
Gray Burchett, are you still out there? Gray's my guitar builder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and also a great singer-songwriter.
Aha.
Where are you, Gray? I don't know. Someone said, hey, Gray Burchett. That's awesome.
I was a singer-songwriter until I heard my singing on tape, and I said, no. No, no, no. So we only have about 6 minutes left. If anybody has any questions about this deep dive, it's happening November 14th. You can head on over to GuitarCloudSymposium.com and download a schedule of what's going on. I'm going to start it out with an orientation and little Q&A first thing in the morning, and then hand it over to Vicki, who's going to talk about original arrangements, creative process, collaborating with people, which is that's a skill right there. Y'all need to come. And vocal arrangements, which I really know nothing about, but I do want to talk about it a little bit in my thing, because
sorry, no, you can't take that from me.
Not arrangements. It's basically how to play guitar with a singer and not stomp all over them.
Huge, important skill, FYI. Yeah, super important.
You know, I saw one of the best examples of doing it right was Robert Cray. I saw him live, and I was familiar with him, but not that familiar, and I was so impressed.
He's awesome.
You know, it's one thing when it's coming from one being, because he knows what he's singing and he knows where the holes will be so he could fill with guitar. But it was just like school. That was school of how it should be done. Then Gretchen's going to come in and talk about doing a concept album, which she has done. Formulating and researching a compelling concept. Organizational strategies. I wouldn't know anything about that. Time and task management. I just drink coffee and scream a lot. So I have a lot to learn from her. Well, Gretchen was a professional pilot. She flew jets. So you kind of have to be organized and kind of have to have your left brain kind of up there with the right brain. The compositional process, writing for other instruments, pulling together a great team. Writing for other instruments is interesting because when I first started doing my first record, I didn't have a clue about anything except guitar. And all of a sudden, I have to make decisions about drum grooves and what the bass should do. And I felt completely overwhelmed. I don't know. It's like what South Park, they had a character called the Jackophosors, where they would, sorry in advance, but they would go to school and there'd be a whole family of them there, and the teacher would ask a question, and they'd all raise their hand and go, I don't know. Yeah, so that was me in the beginning. So, you know, anybody that does a record for the first time, there's a whole lot to it. And it can really seem overwhelming. And I think you can really learn from us on Saturday, November 14th, especially things that we did wrong, things that we would do over again differently. It's valuable to learn from people that have been through it. Yeah, go, Vicki.
And I just want to add this last thing because it was an interesting comment. Someone said, I think records are obsolete. You know, I think it's more just albums are obsolete now, and it's more just about getting songs out. And I think that even if you see it that way, I still think there's going to be so much information that's useful in terms of you doing your own thing, you know. And anyway, and I want to say we have a very special guest on the 14th who is Tay Hoyle, who is an engineer, sound engineer, amazing, just amazing technician. And she's going to be doing a short module, 30-minute module on giving us some home recording tips, mic technique, mic placement, some things you can do to a room that you're working in to kind of optimize the sound. And she'll answer some questions. She's going to talk, I think, a little bit about frequency and just kind of how to start getting to recognize frequency and what you can do with that and how you can shape sound and some really cool stuff. So she's a bonus, Tay Hoyle.
Yeah. And for people that don't know, she designed the John Lennon educational buses, the studios in there. And she designed your van. It's an amazing work of art where every nook and cranny has things in it and the back door's open and that's your speakers so you can do a
stage pulls out. Yeah, stage pulls out of the back.
Wow.
That's amazing. Back to the album thing. albums might be obsolete, but everything you learn can go into a single song.
Exactly.
Yes.
If you
That's
want to
what I was
put
about
one
to say.
song out at a time, it's the same process,
Same
but
process.
not quite as daunting as having to have 10 or 12 songs together. Then halfway through the day, Vicki is going to do her body moves thing because your brains will be slightly melted about noon. We'll give you a lunch break and get your body back in shape, get blood back in your gray matter so you can continue learning for the afternoon. Then Angela's going to get into crowdfunding, budgeting, and promoting an indie album, which I'm really looking forward to that because I'm going, feed a fever, starve a cold, hashtags, ats.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
We're gonna be talking about it all. We're gonna talk about it. People, take your notes. I will not have a guitar in my hand for this deep dive. It is gonna be all notes, and yeah, again, just learning from I want you guys to learn from the mistakes that I made on promoting. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm going to get into, well, beyond the melodies, I'm going to get a little bit into using sound effects for an instrumental record. I think it's very different from a vocal record in that I think it takes more effort to keep people interested through the whole album. Oh, that's Valley talk, right, Angela?
I'm not a Valley girl. I'm from LA. They're different. They're two different places.
I kind of like.
I don't like cut my words. I say the full. Even when I text, I don't use like. I use full words, like commas, semicolons every once in a while if I want to get crazy.
Which reminds me, I got a note on the socials. That's what older people say. On the socials today, he only needed to write 4 words, and he got 3 of them wrong. Is it proofread, people?
Please do. Please proofread. Ooh.
Just read it before you hit send.
Yes.
Could keep yourself out of a lot of trouble. And uncluttering your tracks. In the digital age, when you have unlimited tracks, you don't want to use all of them. The infinity of tracks. Wait, we have 4 more tracks on this page. Let's put this in, this, and this, and this, and make everything stereo. So I'm looking forward to it. I just started digging in and choosing the songs that I want to demo. And I knew just getting down and playing that it would just get the gray matter popping. And the ideas. All right, any last minute questions? Rhodey. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I think that is a cool name. And I was going to name my dog Rhodey. Joby, you're back in the saddle. Getting the most pure version of that recording you can possibly get. Yeah, buddy. Okay, well, I guess we're almost going to wrap it up. Alyssa, go back to your blue guitar. Got your randomizer there. You haven't had enough of the free gifts, huh? The only gifts we're going to give you on November 14th is amazing knowledge. But December 11th through 14th, we're doing our full-on Guitar Cloud Symposium with 24 different modules. Every 20 minutes, we have these compressed modules of each teacher has 6 things to teach that we're passionate about. And the Friday night is a get-together orientation, Q&A. Saturday, Sunday is the main content. And Monday, we partay. And we have a special guest, which I'm this close to telling you who it is. It's one of the top 1 guitar players in the country. That's a
It must be Jennifer Batten.
Yeah, well, we had Scott Henderson the first time. Yeah, it was a hoot. He's such a character. And Andy Timmons, well, it was right before his Stage It concert where he did a tribute to Tom Petty, and he changed the lyrics to one of Tom's songs to put my name in it, because we go back 4 or 5 years to a tour we did around America, and we got pretty tight there. So, all right, thank you for joining us. Don't go back to CNN. It's not good for your health. I have not watched TV all day. And Actually, I'm gonna try it for a half hour, and if my if I start having palpitations, I'm gonna turn it off.
Good
So
plan.
let's hope for the best for the planet. Okay. Thanks
See you
everybody.
on the 14th, guys.
See you on the 14th, everyone.
Yeah, download the schedule, GuitarCloudSymposium.com, and we see us later, as they say in Germany.
Thank you to Positive Grid.
Yes.
Yeah, Positive Grid. Bye. We have some amazing sponsors, which you can see above my head somewhere. Yeah.
Or up here, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the Monty Python. Fishy, fishy,
Right?
fishy. So, after you head over and download the schedule from GuitarCloudSymposium.com, go to Positive Grid and sign up for their big ass giveaway, because you never know, you could be the happy winner. All right,